Alright, I just need to dive right into this. Last night's episode was fantastic. I loved every minute of it. And this video, I'm going to try my best to do it two ways. Where this video is going to be strictly a review of last night's episode of Have and Have Nots. And then before next Tuesday, the mid-season finale, I'm going to have a video that's nothing but predictions. Again, I'm trying not to let the two intertwine, but I'll do my best, put it that way. So this might be a little bit longer, but again, I just need to talk about how much I love this episode. And what's ironic, if you, again, just follow my YouTube, my Facebook, or, Twitter, that I posted a video about, I'd say around 8:20, 8:30 last night, which was a review of last week's episode, along with predictions for last night's episode. And the fact that I talk about Quita's character, the fact that she's not getting a lot of good reviews by, viewers and fans of the series, saying that she's like overly dramatic. They should get like another actress to portray her. And then in the video I said, hey, I'm pretty sure Tyler Perry knows what he's doing when he picks the characters to play these specific roles, because they play the character that they were written to be. Like, Tyler Perry wrote the character and he picked the actor, the actress who he felt would best represent the character. And then the scene between Veronica and Quita, where Veronica's like, calm down, stop being so dramatic. That scene right there had me rolling, because I'm just thinking to myself, it's almost it's almost as if, Veronica was like Tyler Perry telling everybody to calm down who's talking about Quita, or if he was, I don't know. I just thought it was really funny. That was one of the funniest scenes to me last night. And also when Quita's like, hey, can I get a ride? Hell no. Okay, anyway, okay. Back to the episode review. Now, they picked up where they left off last week between Justin and Jeffrey. And I'm glad they didn't spend as much time on it as they did last week. It pretty much, again, just picked up where they left off. With Jeffrey, pretty much, I believe he said he was, back in season 1, like one class away from having his degree. Well, let's just put it this way. If he had his degree, he would be putting it to good use. He pretty much read the professor like a book. I just really love seeing Jeffrey on offense like that. He's not, throwing punches, but he's pretty much like, hey, you think you could do whatever you want to me without any consequence, but I know how to shut you down in a second. So I'm really glad to see that, because again, as another video I did was involving, hey, was Justin like written in to be the character that Jeffrey would have been if he never stood up to his mom about being a homosexual? So that leads to, Candace confronting Jeffrey about, hey, Quincy's buried in the backyard, your keys are gone, the cop knows something. What we need to do is play off the fact that he's an in-the-closet gay. So Jeffrey is, of course, not, willing to participate in this, but Candace, pretty much made him have no choice. So I'm interested in seeing how that's going to play out. Whether or not Jeffrey's going to become a Candace, pretty much, seduce his enemies into getting what he wants. So I don't really want to see Jeffrey go down that road, because I think he's too good of a character to do that. I mean, it's like they say, nobody's above redemption. But of course, in this show, as any other show, nobody's opposed or, omitted from having a potential character change. So with that being said, I hope that Jeffrey does keep his morals, but they do find out a way to get past, the situation they're in. Because there's no way Quincy is going to be buried out there the duration of the entire series and nobody knows about it. I mean, I love the haves and the have-nots. I have no idea how long it's going to keep running. I mean, if you look at Tyler Perry's other show, The House of Pain, which I really loved, that show ran, if I'm not mistaken, again, I was a kid when it first came out. I believe I was in just getting into high school or about to graduate high school. And I used to watch it all the time. But then, I believe it was TBS was what they were showing, The House of Pain. And the more I watched it, the later they put it on. First, it was like 8 o'clock. Then it was 9 o'clock. Then 10, 11. I'm like, I got to wake up for school. So I fell out of it. And then I think about, a year and a half, 2 years later, I'm like, the show's still going? So the haves and the have-nots, giving the fan support and the viewership and the reviews. And again, I love it. And I'm pretty sure a lot of you all love it, because if you didn't, you wouldn't be listening to me talking about this show to begin with. I'm just hoping that the show runs on for a long time and, the story gets better and better as time goes on. But it's like they say, as the Tyler Perry play is written, what's done in the dark comes to the light. So Quincy's going to get discovered at some point. Now, I did like the scene between Erica coming into the house and noticing Jeffrey like, who's this? And Candace like, yep, he ain't your type. Don't worry about it. Kind of bad, because, Erica's bad. If I had to choose between her and Candace, I don't know. Now, mind you, I would have to forget about the fact that they're both seductive temptress, or if you want, I believe that's the right term, pretty much do what they need to do to get by. I don't know. That's a tough one. Candace and Erica. I mean, if either one of y'all watching this video, you're both fine. They kind of look alike. The only thing is like the different skin tones, with it's like a Reese's peanut butter cup, that Candace is like the outer chocolate color, and then Erica has that light creamy peanut butter complexion. I don't even know where this video is going right now, because I'm just thinking about them when I should be talking about the review. Moving on. Now, Hannah's tearing up the Crier Mansion, looking. I didn't know what she was looking for to begin with. I thought she was looking to see what Wyatt might have taken when he left and packed up and left. And because in the preview, I remember seeing, Hannah digging through Catherine's jewelry boxes and all, because I thought that Wyatt had taken that kind of stuff to like pawn it or whatever. But then I thought about it. The only reason I could think of him taking the jewelry and whatnot is to give to hookers and hoes. But he has $12 million, so I don't think he would need that kind of stuff. The only time I recall him doing that was when his drug dealer came by the house and he tried to, use his mom's jewelry as payment for the drugs, but he ended up giving him cash cards or credit cards, and then from there he got paid the $12 million. So I will say this much. As I mentioned in my in my prediction video from the last episode, last Tuesday, the scene between Katherine and Hannah was my favorite scene from last week's episode. But this week's episode, the range that Katherine Renee Lawless, and again, I know these characters as their characters, so I will always refer to them as Katherine, or Crystal Fox as Hannah, Angela as Angela Robertson as Veronica. Katherine, I just loved her in this episode because, number one, we got to see a range of emotion from her. Because, again, I feel like Katherine's kind of been ever since Amanda died, I felt like Katherine's kind of been, like, in the sidelines. Like, season 1, with the cancer and all, she was, like, up in the front. She was up in the front row. She was a outgoing character. That's not to say she's been a bad character lately. I feel like Katherine's been weaker in, the last season or so. Unless you count, when she busts Candace upside the head with the bottle, or, when she was in the jail, pretty much telling Veronica when she finds out who was responsible for Wyatt being raped, they're dead. I feel like Katherine and David are those, as I've said it many times before on Facebook and Twitter, Katherine and David are arguably the most dangerous characters on this show. And this episode proved it, at least for Katherine, because one minute we seen her beg and plead with Hannah not to go. Fast forward to, the middle ending of the episode, all hell's about to break loose. From her just going to the jail, seeing Jim. Jim looks pitiful. And I just never thought I would see him like this, because, again, you compare, seriously, look back at season 1, season 2, you see that these characters really did it, well, makeup and all. It looked like they've aged, and if I'm not mistaken, the series has been going on for, 3.5, maybe 3 years, going on 4 years now. And in the series itself, if I'm not mistaken, it's only been a couple of months, because back in the first 4 episodes, they're talking about Jim announcing his candidacy for governor on the 26th, it's the 20 something of whatever month they were in. And then, after the little Lizzie Benny thing, that's when Maggie, as her campaign manager, said, hey, let's push back our announcement to make everybody else look insensitive as they're announcing their candidacy, while we're going to focus on the hit and run situation. So overall, it's just look at these characters. It's just, wow. It just shows you that stress and all the lies and deceit and the affairs has really taken their toll. So again, it was just funny seeing Jim in there. It's like, wow, you look nice. And even Kat was like, look, you're being nice. I need the asshole husband to come out to help me. So they pretty much know that the money is going to destroy Wyatt. And as I've said before, Jennifer just put way too much faith into Wyatt being, well, even though he passed the drug test, the banker tried to warn her, but she wasn't having it. And it goes without saying that, as not just myself, but a lot of fans predicted, Wyatt is either going to overdose or be unconscious, or something's going to happen to him, because his supplier's like, hey man, that's Columbia, you need to slow down. That's when he got kicked out. And even the hookers in the bed were like, hey, you're loading up too much. You're like, shut up. I ain't going to say a word, but he just, you know what he said. Man, I don't even know. It's just crazy to think that Wyatt's, And it makes me think to the next point I want to bring up. Candace wanting Benny to mortgage his house. Now, we know back in season 1, it was revealed that after Quincy nearly beat Candace to death, Benny had to, secretly behind Hannah's back, put up her house for mortgage to pay for her hospital bills, for Candace's hospital bills. And that's when, him and Candace were at odds because he needed $50,000 that she said she was going to pay, which she didn't have until she blackmailed Jim for the $100,000. Compare the argument that Benny had with Candace back in season 1 in the episode where she literally, was throwing money up in the air. Compare that to the argument in this episode where he's like, hell no, I am not putting my house up for mortgage, because she doesn't tell him what exactly the money's for. We know in season 1 that Katherine had the breast cancer. It's never been mentioned or spoken of again. Is there ever going to be a point where somebody's going to bring up Benny isn't acting like himself? Because the way he's talking, all right, sometimes it seems like Benny's normal, and then other times it's like he's talking like a 4-year-old again. It's like, hey, what are you doing? You put mommy's house up for sale. When is somebody going to address the fact that Benny is not the same Benny that he was before the coma? Are we ever going to get some clarification or closure on that? Because remember, the doctor in the hospital told Hannah, hey, we can take him off of life support, but there might be some side effects. He never got the chance to tell her the side effects because Hannah was just so gung-ho on like, hey, my son has a chance to live, take him off of life support, whatever happens, happens. There has to be some side effects, mostly mental, that explains, his affair with Veronica, him acting like a child as soon as he got out of the hospital and whatnot. I just hope at some point we get some explanation on that. Tyler Perry, make it happen, please. I need to see it. I'm an overthinker. I'm not the only one out there. I need to see some closure on this. Anyway, this episode just showed that everybody's either lying, hiding the truth, or spilling misinformation, such as Quita telling Veronica that David was the one that put the hit out on her when it was in fact Jim who did so. And again, that scene was just hilarious where they're waiting outside the jail. Quita gets out and she's asking for a ride. Hell no. The fact that Quita has to walk home, you would think that she's Jeffrey, doesn't have a car anymore, so she has to walk everywhere. And then the scene that really got the last 10 minutes. Okay, let me not talk about that part right now. I want to say it to the end. Just some other things like Hannah confronting Aaliyah in the hospital. Felt bad for her because, she got her ass whooped a couple episodes ago by Erica. Well, Erica actually was kicking her while Candace was doing the beating. And Hannah just knows something isn't right. The last 15, 20 minutes, the last half of the episode had me going, I'm like, this is what I've been waiting for. Set up for this plot, set up for that plot. It makes me so hype for next week. Next week is going to be crazy because I've had enough people tell me, hey, we love you have and have not videos. Do if loving you is wrong. I feel like at this time next week, I'm going to be pulling double duty where I have to do a video reviewing the mid-season finale, a video of my predictions about what happened after the mid-season finale. Hey, what's Tyler Perry going to do when season 4 part 2 comes out later this year in like May or June? And then I have to talk about If Loving You Is Wrong, that season or mid-season premiere. Well, in any case, next week's going to be crazy, but the episode is, I'm so hyped. Like, if you listen to the tone of my voice in this video compared to my other have and have not videos, it's because I'm so hyped for the next episode because this episode was so damn good. I mean, we have Veronica just being, well, you know what? I broke my rule of jumping ahead, but Veronica having the cameras in her house, that was just pure genius because you think about it. If Quita didn't tell her that somebody was at the house, more than likely Veronica would have stepped in the front door and got shot. That would have been the end of that. And it just, the fact that she had those cameras reminded me of whenever at Candace's apartment, when Professor Candy came over, and at the hotel where she had sex with Jim, she's like, I have cameras hidden everywhere, collateral, blackmail, whatever you want to call it. So the fact that Veronica had those cameras installed was just pure genius. And then, I'm not going to say I told you so. I'm thinking about it, but I ain't going to say it. Maggie potentially being the one who gets shot because Veronica has the perfect setup. I made a video. I talked about it a lot. Maggie being shot because I felt like, and Allison, I know if you're watching this video, I love you, but Maggie Day's character is kind of gone because, again, I talked about it at the beginning of this season. I did not like how she was written to be this. In the past, it's calculating, cool side character who just, again, she earned her spot as one of the main cast members now. And then all of a sudden, she's just making the stupid decisions of posting that photo in the paper and whatnot. When your right-hand man, Landon, whenever a main character does something stupid to the point where their right-hand man or, sidekick it's like Batman, it's like Robin telling Batman, don't do that, it's stupid, and then getting slapped for it. That's how I felt when Landon was telling Maggie, what are you doing with that photo? It's like you post that story, they're going to come after you, right? Again, I just don't like the fact that she was built up from being this, hey, I'm your campaign manager, to I'm going to have an affair with, make David have an affair with me. And then all of a sudden she's making these stupid decisions that's ultimately going to cost her life. Because Veronica, just cunning. I respect that. It's like, I'm not getting my hands dirty. You're going to come into my house. I want to tell you some things about David, which if I were Maggie, I wouldn't come to the house anyway, because the last time she was there, sure, she made Veronica pick her face up off the floor, but this time, yeah. Man. I want to, in the preview for now, well, then again, I said I wasn't going to talk about predictions. I'll say this much. And at the episodes, when the credits roll and there's a preview or the sneak preview of next week's episode, we see the gunman in there, and then we see Veronica opening the door slowly. I'm hoping that Veronica checks the cameras before opening the door, because I don't want to say every time I say I'm pretty sure Tyler Perry has the episode written the complete opposite of what I expect. I want to say it this way. I'm pretty sure Veronica wouldn't open the door knowing the gunman's in there unless she called Maggie. Maggie comes over. She, Veronica probably has like a bag of popcorn in her car, watching everything go down, and watches Maggie get shot. Because remember, Quita said the gunman is trained to shoot the first person who walks through the door. That doesn't mean they have to be Veronica. It's just the first person who comes through the door. And I'm just thinking about it right now. I'm just kind of like looking over some notes I made over the episode last night. Yeah, I had to take notes because I can't remember everything, even though I try to. I'm wondering, what if the gunman shoots the first person who comes through the door? He notices that it isn't Veronica. Does he leave, or does he stay there until he kills Veronica? Because if I'm not mistaken, he's been there in that same spot for 3 or 4 days, give or take. Did he go into the kitchen to make a sandwich? Did he take a nap? Did he go to the restroom? He's trained to get the money, but we all have human bodily functions. He must have been like the Santa Claus from Friday After Next. He's robbing people, but he stops in there to make a sandwich because he's hungry. So I'm just interested to see how that's going, because I can imagine sitting in that same pose as him for like 15, 20 minutes and then my legs fall asleep. Even now, recording this video, I had to go into my closet where there's good acoustics. I'm sitting on the floor on the carpet, microphone, laptop. I've been at this video for 18 minutes now. Yeah, my legs are falling asleep. So again, I can't imagine how that guy must feel. So that leads to the next point in regards to, let's see, because I've been jumping all around this video. I really shouldn't have. Okay, Leah and Hannah, where the fact that Aaliyah doesn't want to get her ass beaten again or potentially killed. But again, that just makes me think. Candace said that she wanted $100,000. Aaliyah has 6 hours to do so. Does Candace know where Aaliyah lives, or does Aaliyah, is just afraid that Candace will come after her? Because I'm pretty sure if a couple people beat me down, told me to bring them money, I don't think I would come back. But then again, that's, assuming they don't know how to find me again. But in any case, Aaliyah is more afraid of losing her job than anything else. So I'm just imagining that Candace would turn her into the social services because she took the $25,000. Because Erica's even like, she's not going to give you that $100,000 because she can't. So I'm interested to see how that's going to play out. Now, let's see. The Benny Mitch thing, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't that the first time we saw Mitch and Candace interact for the first time? That was pretty cool. And then for Warlock to literally come out like a ghost from the background, it's like Candace is like, hey, don't work with Warlock. He's like, what for? I'm wondering what's going to happen next week in turn. Well, nope. Saving that thought for the prediction video. Because it's going to take some time. Because what has it been 2 or 3 days since Candace was given the time frame for Warlock? 7 days. So if I'm not mistaken, she has about 4 days left. Because if the criers settle out of court, then, she might have the money to pay Warlock back in time. But Erica is going to forge those documents to, set up her and her house, the tow company, if I'm not mistaken, and Benny's house up for mortgage to get the money. I feel like they're rolling the dice. They're putting too much faith in this lawsuit. It's like, hey, you know, we can set up the house and whatnot for mortgage so you can pay Warlock, and you're going to get the money back in the lawsuit. But, you know, Katherine was advised by the banker to move the money in the case of a lawsuit, and she was like, no, don't do it, but recommended so anyway. And then the fact that Hannah finally learned that my daughter got that money from blackmailing Jim, because Katherine put 2 and 2 together. I love how everybody's like, the Candy Cane Company, or as Warlock would say, Candy Cane. I mean, I'm just interested in next week and a prediction video. The fact that Hannah comes through the front door, sees Michael there, and I love the bit between Candace, Benny, and then the black lawyer they went to. It goes to show that there is redemption for Candace's character, because the lawyer is like, yeah, your sister is quite persuasive. I'm thinking to myself, please don't tell me she has sex with you, man. No. He actually admired the fact she's persuasive and even pointed out you can make a great lawyer someday. Hannah told her the same thing when Candace popped out of nowhere to defend Benny when Tony was trying to take him off of life support for the kidneys. And Hannah's like, if you put your mind to it, you would be one hell of a lawyer. I feel like at the tail end of the series, assuming Candace isn't killed off or her character finally gets redemption, she can be one heck of a lawyer. And I was worried because, you know, she's going to pick up Quincy, her son, at some point. I don't want Warlock to kill her son as retribution for the money. I hope it doesn't come to that. I really don't, because the kid has done nothing wrong. I just feel bad for him. And let's see. I'm just trying to make sure I've left no... I don't think I've ever made a video this long. If you think this is long, wait till I do my prediction video. I mean, this episode was just so action-packed. There was so much to talk about. And again, the character range. Jennifer pulled a Maggie. It's like, you know, we see a strong, independent woman. And when David was like begging, literally begging. Well, I guess that's why the episode was titled Beg for What You Need. Begging Jennifer for 5 minutes with Jim. You know, Jennifer was like a high school girl. Like, get off me. I mean, she made a cute face. It's like Neo's song, When You're Mad. She was cute. Again, I didn't see that within her character. I never thought she would do that. It makes me wonder more about her and David. Like, I don't think David had an affair with Jennifer. I don't think so. I think that as he told Maggie, I met Veronica in law school. I met Jim in law school. That's when I was because he always admired the kind person Veronica used to be, and the fact that she was slightly controlling, but not like she is now. I imagine that Jennifer was also at the law school. You know, maybe David had a thing for both her and Veronica, but in the end chose Veronica. And that's why Jennifer's like, that's your problem. You're too loyal. You know, you always stick with somebody even when they treat you bad instead of going to somebody else. So it makes me think that maybe, I don't think they had an affair, but maybe before they were married, Veronica and David were, you know, like engaged or in a relationship, then he and Jennifer had a thing, and that's when he's like, no, I'm with Veronica. I just hope like the Benny mental issues, I hope that gets addressed. I hope that we get more backstory behind Jennifer and David. Not right away, because I feel like there's way too much going on right now to throw that into the mix. So I'm going to bring this video to a close right now. But I want to get your thoughts in the comment section below. And as always, you know, please subscribe, like, comment, share these videos, because I make these long videos so I can get some long comments and discussions below, because 140 characters on Twitter is definitely not enough to express all my thoughts. Hence why I make the videos. But what did you think of last night's episode? Do you think that things are going to turn out good? I feel like every time a character feels like they have the lead, like everything's falling into place, that's when everything falls apart. Being with the lawsuit that Benny really doesn't even want to get into. Let's see here. Wyatt having the money. And again, the fact that Benny is potentially sitting on $10 million around that area, it makes me wonder who is worse, Wyatt with his 12 million or Benny if he got, you know, 10 plus million. And even if they did sue, if the money has to come from Wyatt, it's most likely gone. So again, I'm going to bring this video to a close, but let me know what you thought of last night's episode. What do you think is going to happen next week? You can either comment below with your thoughts or save your thoughts for my next video, which again, I'll try to get that up before the weekend. So again, thank you for taking the time to listen to this almost 30-minute video, and I will see you all in the next episode regarding my predictions on the Haves and Have-Nots Season 4 mid-season finale.